Okay, I'm going to kind of show you a technique. It's not exactly really new, but I'm going to show you how to do a technique, and the reason why I'm going to show you how to do a technique called the 2-peg E-wrap is what I'm going to call it. I'm not entirely sure what they're calling it, but everything I've double peg doubling, double E-wrap, I'm going to call it a 2-peg E-wrap. I think it simplifies it. But I'm going to show you how to make a wolf ears, and that you can attach to a headband for this Halloween, which is always fun. I have a feeling this is a newer yarn because I haven't seen it before, and I'm not finding it everywhere yet. It's awesome. It's super cool. What it is it's the Red Heart Boutique fur. There's another one that has for sure, and it's different. You want just fur if you want this stuff here, and that's what I've used for this. And you just need one skein. The ears, they're a small enough project that you just need one skein. So I got a black and I got a gray in it, and it's pretty cool. So I'm going to show you how to do this, but the thing is, to make it easier to for you to understand what this is, what I'm doing with this, because if I try showing you with the actual fur yarn, you're going to be like, I can't see what you're doing, because it's really hard. So I'll show you with a yarn that you can see it, and then when I do the lining with the gray, you'll see what I'm talking about. So you just need a loom with basically at least 20 pegs. So what we're going to do is to do a 2-peg E-wrap cast on. You're going to send it behind 2 pegs, bring it in front of the 2 pegs, and back around. Behind the 2 pegs, in front of the 2 pegs, back around. And you should create 10 stitches. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, that's your cast on. Now we're going to go back and do a 2-peg E-wrap row. So lay over those 2, and then E-wrap 2 pegs, 2 pegs, 2 pegs, 2 pegs, 2 pegs, 2 pegs, 2 pegs. So it's the E-wrap. You're just wrapping it around 2 pegs rather than 1. And then when you toss over, you toss both over like that. And this works great for those really chunky yarns. And so that was row 1 we just completed. Now we want to do row 2, which we're just going to E-wrap 2 pegs, the 2-peg E-wrap back. Okay. You toss both over both pegs like that. And this is a great technique for that really, really thick yarn. And what we're doing is the ear part first. Okay. Now we're going to do a decrease. So this is what a decrease is going to consist of. You're going to take that stitch and put it over the next 2 pegs. You see? So if it's on 2, when we decrease, we move it over 2. Same thing over here. If it's on 2, move it over and put it on those 2. So treat it like a single stitch. Look at these 2 pegs as one peg. You're moving it over. Now you're going to E-wrap the row. The 2 peg E-wrap. And on those decreased pegs, toss both over. Like that. Okay. Then we're going to E-wrap the row. Again. 2 peg E-wrap. Now if you wanted to do these ears on a finer gauge, you take the same amount of pegs and just single it up. That's all you're going to do. But on your decrease, you just decrease as a normal. It's the concept of getting the down to 1. It's the concept of getting it down to 1 peg. Okay, from here on out, we're going to be decreasing until we're down to 1 stitch. So take and move over those 2 to the next 2. There we go. And then E-wrap. The 2 peg E-wrap. Okay. Then we're going to toss both loops over on that decrease. Now, granted, these are wolf ears, but I'm sure you can use them for cat ears and for fox ears and that kind of thing. You just change up the colors. Okay, then we're going to decrease again. And then we're going to E-wrap, 2 peg E-wrap. Toss both loops over. Those decreased. And you can kind of see, even with this yarn, how difficult it would be to see with the fur. Go ahead and decrease again. You can barely see. You're mostly going to have to feel for it on the fur yarn. So if you're still starting out on loom knitting, you might want to try this with a yarn like this, just to get a general feel of it. Okay, you wrap those 2. We're almost done with the base. And you're going to pick that up and move it over 1. And then you 2 peg E-wrap again. Then you snip the end and pull through. Because I just wanted to show you on a simpler thing, you've basically just made a triangle. Now if you're working with a yarn like this, you can actually go in and just tighten up your cast on it and make that bottom a lot snugger. If you're going to work with a yarn like this, which I'm trying to remember, I think this is soft and chunky, Lion's Brand Soft and Chunky. Not many colors, mostly natural colors. But as you can see, that's a double peg E-wrap. And it's a little smaller of an ear. But yeah, and then you fold it in like that. So you could actually just make it like this, fold it in, sew it up, and there is you a fox ear, cat ear, wolf ear. But if you want the lining, you're going to do it a little smaller. You're going to go with the same concept, but you're going to do 8 stitches rather than 10. That's how you're going to do that. So with that said, I'm going to show you how to do it with this stuff, and I'm going to show you how difficult it is to see it. I'm doing the same exact concept, except I'm doing it with 8 stitches rather than 10. So go ahead and you're going to go 1, wrap around those 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then you're going to go back. You're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You see how hard that is to see? You know, if you pull it up from the bottom and take it over those top 2 loops, and you make sure that you have 1 still there, you'll get it. It's mostly a feel, because as you can see, there's a seaming there, and that's how you're going to know when you're pulling up just 1. You're looking for that seaming. See, I feel there's only 1. There's only 1. So if you lose track, feel for it. But as you can see, what I was telling you about, it's hard to see what you're doing. Okay, so that's row 1. Now we're going to do row 2. So E-wrap, toss the bottom loop over. Feel for it if you need to. I'm not going to tell this easy yarn to work with, but it does do a lovely effect for little fur ears. And I'm sure you could make a stuffed animal with this. I don't know that I'd want to struggle with it. And you'd need several skeins to do a stuffed animal completely with it. Okay. Push that down. Okay, now we're going to decrease. So take that, move it over to the next 2. Take this, pick it up, move it over to the next 2. Old challenges. Alright, now we know that those are our next 2. We're going to wrap it, wrap the next 2, wrap the next 2, wrap the next 2, the next 2. As you can see, it just gets really hard to see. Okay, you know you have 2 to go over. And to make sure you got it, feel for just 1. Okay, and then you know on the next one you just got 1 to go over. And so you have one to go over, one to go over, let's see, that one doesn't feel like it went all the way. Okay, and then one to go over, and then it's the last two, so we know that we need to have two to go over. There we go. Alright, now we're going to E-wrap the row. So there's two, two, two. You see where two helps. Two and two. Okay, then you're going to toss bottom loop over. There we go. Yeah. Okay. Okay, I need to better see what I'm doing here. But you can see what I'm talking about. Same concept, just harder to feel for. Okay. Okay. Now we're going to decrease by one on each side. This one feels like I didn't quite get it over completely. There we go. Okay. Then we're going to put that there. Okay. And okay. Now we're going to E-wrap two and two, two and two. You see where the challenge is. There we go. Okay. Pull it through a little bit. Okay. Then we have the first loop going over and then the second loop going over. Okay, and then we're gonna decrease again. Then E-wrap two. Toss both loops over if you can. There, one. Okay. Then we're going to pull that up. Move over. Decrease again. E-wrap. Make sure you toss both loops over. And then E-wrap again. Toss the bottom loop over. And then snip and pull through. And there is your triangle. And you can see how difficult that was to manage with the fur. So that's your lining, and then you had your outer layer, which the ears are smaller with a thinner yarn. So I need to go in and make my black base, and then I can go in and show you how to sew them together to create an ear. And you do them exactly the same. The only difference is one side you fold over this way and the other side you fold over that way. And then you just sew them onto a hat, or you sew them onto a headband, or you can even connect it like that if you want to. But yeah, this is how we're gonna do that. So let me go in and whip up the black side, and I'll show you how to sew them together so that you can see how to finish this project. But there's the challenge of the fur thing. So go ahead and pause the video and complete your 2 pieces, and I'll show you how to whip them up and sew them together. Okay, I have my 2 pieces now, and one's going to be slightly smaller than the other. Okay, so when in my instructions I tell you to line up the bottoms and then line up the lining of the inner ear to where it's got a perimeter around it that's even of the black. And when you've got that set up, then you want to sew it together. So I think that's about even. Once you find that, then you're going to take regular yarn. It can be scrap yarn, just in a similar color to the gray. And you're going to send it through the corner. And I am not doing a real heavy tight stitching with this because it's already fairly loose stitching, but you want to feel for it and make sure that you find that both are going through. And you're just going to work your way across. So I'm finding that both are going through. And you're going to work your way all the way around. Okay. And then you're going to start working your way up to the point. And I'm going to show you that at the tops of the ears, instead of cutting this short, I just kind of tuck it in there and sew those ends in so that you don't have any questionable areas of unraveling. And with this, it's going to be weaving in and out. And again, making sure that you feel that you've gotten both colors when you're weaving. It can be a little bit of a challenge, but most of this is going to be feeling. Okay, so I've reached the point and I'm going to tuck that in. I'm going to tuck that in. I'm going to take the needle at the point, and if I find that I haven't caught the gray, I can just pick it up and put it over it. Okay. And we're going to keep weaving it in and out. Find your seaming. Make sure it's hitting it, because that's a lot of fur to feel your way through. Okay, we're almost done. We can tuck those ends in as well. Both the tail end of the black and the tail end of the gray can be tucked in so that you don't have to cut those. Okay. Alright. Now that you have that, and you want to make sure that you do the opposite of whatever ear, so you need this side to fold in halfway. And so to keep up with that, you know that you need to take one point of the triangle and fold it in halfway, like that. And then what you're going to do is you're just simply going to tack it down. And so I'm going to kind of work my way over to the middle real quick with my yarn. And I'm going to make sure I send it through both sides to tack it down. And then once I think I have it, I'm going to tie it off. And there is my second ear. So there's my ears, and at this point, again, you can attach them to a hat or a headband or whatnot, and you will have your wolf ears, cat ears, fox ears, whatever kind of ears you want. But there's the ears. And if you want it to be a little less, you can actually connect the ends into, if you want, so that just the gray is peekabooing through. Up to you. So that's how you do it. That's how you make wolf ears.